Hey, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Economy in Place Scrutiny Committee meeting being held today, which is Thursday, the 13th of March, 2025. Before we begin proceedings this evening, I would like to ask that if we could all stand and observe a minute's silence for the passing of our Economy in Place colleague and our worshipful the Mayor, Councillor Barry Panther. All rise. Please be seated. Members, would be more formal and appropriate that if any members wish to say a few words in respect of Barry, if they would do so at the next week's full council. However, I will not have that opportunity, so I would like to say my piece now. In the time I knew Barry, I thought he came off as a very kind, well-mannered man, very characteristic. He did a lot of work for his charities and he has been a very good mayor in his mayoral year. I, for one, will miss him, but I won't forget him. If there are any other members that also will not have the opportunity next week that would like to say a few words, they can do now. Okay. We will now move on to the business for this evening. Before we begin, I would like to welcome Councillor Casey Holm to the Economy in Place Scrutiny. It's a pleasure having you in this committee. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies. I've received apologies from Councillor Dave Jones, who's been substituted by Councillor Rees, and Councillor Betley Smith, who's been substituted by Councillor Mark Holland. Councillor Wheeldon is also substituting this evening. Item 2, declarations of interest. Councillor Holland.
Thank you, Chair. The paper at item 6 refers to a number of planning applications that have yet to be determined by this authority. Would it be appropriate for those of us who are on that committee to be mindful of our interest in not predetermining any of those?
Is the officers happy with that? Yes, it's fine. Yes, that's noted, Mark. Anybody else with any declarations of interest? No? Okay, item 3 is the minutes of the previous meeting. These minutes can be found on pages 3 to 6 of your agenda. Can the committee agree that and note them as a correct record? Yeah, that's carried. Item 4 then, first substantial item of business tonight, is the Newcastle under Lyme Borough Local Plan 2040. This report is found on pages 7 to 12 of your agenda. I would like to invite Alan to present his report to this.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. The local plan was submitted for examination on the 20th of December of last year. Inspector Anne Jordan has been appointed to consider the plan. The inspector is currently reviewing the plan and its evidence base and also the representations that have been received in relation to the plan. And alongside this, a local plan examination library has been created on the website where all material will be published during the examination. The inspector has asked the council some initial questions about the habitats regulations assessment work that the council has undertaken. What the habitats regulations assessment work is a technical study which evaluates the impacts of plan proposals on particular designated sites. And what the inspectors asked us to do is to refer to representations which were made by Natural England and work with Natural England to resolve some of their queries in relation to the plan, which focus around two sites. Oakhanger Moss SSI, which is a site adjacent to the M6, and Black Firs and Cranberry Bog SSI. So the council has commissioned additional air quality work and an update to the habitats regs assessment in response to the air quality work outputs. And the intention at the inspector's request is to also draw up a statement of common ground following that work and further engagement with Natural England. And the inspector has asked for all that information to be submitted to her by the 28th of March. Once the inspector's had a chance to review that material, and if she's satisfied that the matter is resolved, she'll then move on to what's called the matters, issues and questions stage, which essentially is a set of questions that the inspector asks the council, and also people who've made representations to the plan can also respond to the relevant areas that which apply to their comments. The inspector has indicated that potential hearings, examination hearings in public may take place in May, but again, this is subject to the outcome of the discussions with Natural England and the inspector's satisfaction with that response. Just to note that the report before you also covers two other areas. Since we've last met, the revised version of the National Planning Policy Framework has been published, and that's established a new standard method calculation for the borough of 545 dwellings per annum. What the new National Planning Policy Framework also contains is transitional arrangements which apply to the councils, so that where a submitted local plan, like our own, does not achieve 80% of local housing need, our figure in our plan is 400 compared to that figure of 545 per annum. Then there's an expectation that on adoption of an emerging local plan, that work will start on a new plan under a revised plan making system that the government are hoping to publish over the summer to address any shortfall in housing need. The covering report also refers to another request which is generated through the National Planning Policy Framework, which is for councils to update their local development schemes, which effectively are a timetable for producing local plans. And we took a report to Cabinet, which was approved on the 4th of February, which made clear that progress on a new plan would depend on the progress of the examination that I've just touched on, but also noted that the submission of our plan that was just currently in examination followed our previous local development scheme, so we met our requirements before Christmas. And our local development scheme in broad terms says that dependent on the progress of the examination, we would start a new plan later this year around November time. And then there will be a first draft plan the following year, a final draft plan in November 2027, submission of a plan by the 1st of March 28, and adoption by the end of 2028. In terms of the plan that's submitted, our current position, subject to the outcomes of the examination, is that we will consider that plan in the last full council meeting of this year, of 2025. So I think that covers most of the report. If anyone's got any questions, happy to receive them.
Thank you, Alan. Members, do you have any questions for Alan? Councillor Rees.
All right, thanks, Alan. Are we confident that the initial questions around the natural habitats regulation assessment, that the initial questions will be answered sufficiently not to delay the examination and hearing sessions? And if they are, where will that leave us?
We've continue to engage with Natural England on the methodology that we've used and how we've gone about working up the report, which we're hoping to submit to them shortly. So they are aware and have engaged with us about the sort of considerations that we need to consider through the report. Our consultants and ourselves are confident in the work that's been undertaken, and we're hopeful in terms of getting that agreed position with Natural England. What the inspectors asked to do is a statement of common ground. So what that effectively will do is set out areas of agreement, and certainly our aim is to have agreement with Natural England on the main areas that the inspectors asked us to consider. But through that process, it may also identify aspects where we have a different view that the Natural England take on certain matters. And in that case, we would put that before the inspector, and ultimately it'd be the inspector's call. But our primary objective at the moment is to seek that agreement with Natural England that they're happy with both what we've done and the outcomes of that work, so we can get that all agreed and before the inspector as soon as we can.
Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, Chairman. A couple of questions really mainly around process. Could Alan give the committee a little bit more detail about the public hearings? I think it's an area that many of us are sort of new to. Likely duration. How will individuals and organisations actually be selected to take part in the public hearings? Because not everybody obviously will be able to. And the council representatives will be present, I'm sure, throughout, but will our officers have an opportunity to respond to matters that are raised by people who are giving evidence? My second question is, I think we're all aware, obviously, of local government reorganisation. Possible impact, really, on the assessment of the plan, given that council structures may have to change. Is local government reorganisation likely to play any part at all in the consideration of the plan during the course of this year? Thank you.
On the second point, I don't think so, but I'm not the expert, so I'll pass you over to the expert.
Sure, but no, thank you for your questions. In terms of the second question first, as Councillor Parker's outlined, I don't think it would have any consideration in respect of the plan that's submitted. It may do for future local plans, but for the purposes of the examination, then I don't think it will have an impact, although I may be proven wrong during the hearings themselves. Just in terms of how the examination public hearings are held, so very much set up like a horseshoe sort of layout. The inspector sits at the top of the table, outlines a set of questions for everyone to consider. They normally address the council first to answer those questions, and then there's an opportunity for participants in that particular hearing to raise any issues that they want to, and the inspector will go around and give people the opportunity to be heard. And then once those points or questions are raised, it's then directed normally back to the council to sum up or respond to any issues that are raised. During the hearings, there's also an opportunity if there's a matter that arises that requires a bit more detail, then the inspector can issue what they tend to call homework for the council. So the council go away and prepare a note for the inspector, and that will be included on the examination library for people to comment on. In terms of selection for involvement, we appoint somebody called a programme officer, or a programme officer is in post now, and their role is to facilitate the examination. So they approach people who've made representations on particular topics or areas and ask them or confirm with them whether they wish to speak at those particular events. It's acknowledged that for certain topics, there may be some oversubscription in terms of the amount that can be held around the table. And in those instances, either they split the hearings into different timings, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon, or they ask interested parties to coordinate together into a single representative or a couple of representatives to speak on a particular matter. In terms of duration, it depends on the examination itself. but you're normally talking about 3 weeks or so. And in terms of how that normally works is that the examination would sit between on a Tuesday, Wednesday and a Thursday. And then Friday would be like an overspill if timings have gone over for particular topics. I think that was everything, but please come back to me if.
I think, am I right in saying, Richard, about a public event so that members of the public can come and listen to this? Do you have a follow-up for Alan on the basis of what he said?
No, Chairman, I found Alan's explanation very helpful indeed. Thank you.
Councillor Holland.
Thank you, Chair. Like our Prime Minister, I have a mixed view of quangos and non-departmental public bodies, of which Natural England is one. Question, if I may, is Natural England representation to the Reg 19 consultation came in on the 4th of October. We sent that to the planning inspector at the end of December in order to meet a very tight deadline. Is there anything more that this council could have done to make it less easy for Natural England to poke holes in our emerging local plan? Because it's a very substantial representation that they made. I don't particularly agree with it on a number of points. I think our officers probably agree with that. But given that this came in at the beginning of October, we sent our plan off at the end of December. What happened in between those dates to mitigate this? Because clearly the inspector has still got questions that relate to the content of that representation, if that makes sense as a question.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Since receipt of representations in October, we've met with Natural England a number of times, and it's taken time for us to commission and do the exercise of the additional work that Natural England have requested of us. That's included a detailed air quality model that we've had to produce from scratch, effectively, to look at various aspects of response to Natural England, and then sequentially our ecologists have not been able to review that work until it's been completed. So we've made a great deal of progress in December, but in terms of that engagement with Natural England, it's still moved on into the new year, and the inspector recognises that where we are in that position. So has asked for an update that both parties can agree to in order to move the examination forward.
Thank you. I have two follow-ups, if I could, Chair. The first is to say, are we expecting that the issues that Natural England have raised can be resolved through a statement of common ground being reached between this authority and Natural England, or are we looking for other parties needing to sign that statement of common ground? Because one of the issues that Natural England raised in its representation was our duty to cooperate with other authorities. I'm aware that in the process of adopting a local plan, other authorities have had to go into quite detailed negotiations with neighbouring councils as well as Natural England in order to reach an agreement on it that is satisfactory and allows their local plan to go forward. So are we expecting that an agreement, a common ground agreement between this authority and Natural England will be enough, or is there going to be more work there with the potential of more delay?
Thank you, Councillor Holland. In terms of this particular statement of common ground, the inspector has been clear that it relates to air quality and habitats matters, and the parties involved in the statement of common ground are just ourselves and Natural England. So there won't be any other parties involved in this particular statement of common ground. You're correct to note that the representation from Natural England also referred to duty to cooperate, particularly with the City Council. The council's position is that we already have an agreed statement of common ground with the City Council, and that's before the inspector already. So the council's position is that that matter has been resolved already. It's just the air quality and the impacts on the ecological side of things that this statement of common ground is supposed to address.
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair, a political one which our portfolio holder can answer, I'm sure. Turning to the fourth or fifth paragraph of Natural England's representation, I note that while we have one arm of government insisting that we now have to deliver hundreds and hundreds more houses, Natural England's view is that the introduction of 8,000 dwellings and 63 hectares of employment floor space is expected to increase vehicle emissions and result in an overall reduction in air quality. Would the portfolio holder agree with me that the government is a disgrace and that the left hand of government doesn't know what the right hand of government is doing?
Sure, the portfolio holder would agree if he was here, but I will allow Councillor Sweeney to.
Yeah, I think that was aimed for me actually, Chairman. I feel if I know, Councillor, and yeah, I agree entirely. It's bizarre. You've got one half saying we don't want any of the houses, another half saying yeah we want houses. So how you square that circle, I don't know. But fortunately, I'm not part of the government.
Councillor Grocott.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, we have a bit of a laugh there. Just coming back to that, lots been covered by Councillor Rees and Councillor Holland. Just looking at it though, Alan, can you answer this one? Obviously, based on the habitats and definite actual results here, may that determine that sites have to be changed that were originally put in due to obviously the air emission places? I think you will know there's quite a few people who've actually been asking for monitors from different organisations. And it might be worth just keeping that in mind going forward, because that obviously may change the actual barriers.
Thank you, Councillor Grocott. It's difficult to say at the moment because we're still finalising the work, and then that work will be tested during the examination process. So we'll let all that process run through before we make any decisions around the implications of the work that we're preparing for Natural England. I'm sorry, I'm not able to comment further on that. Cheers.
Councillor Wheeldon.
Just a quick comment, really. There's clearly an awful lot of work being put into this, and your team, Mr. Clark, and anybody involved in this local plan should be congratulated. Every I has been dotted and T crossed. I believe that we have done everything we should have. I think it's easy to criticise a document or a plan when someone else has produced it. And I worry about such bodies who are inspecting it are, rather than actually saying, yes, you've done a good job, are trying to justify their existence. I think the plan reflects our knowledge of this borough, its Indigenous people. Unfortunately, it seems to be going to be affected at some point, hopefully not, but it seems to be affected by strange decisions at Westminster or neighbourhood cities, which we don't want to be involved with, because no one understands the borough like the people who live in it and the borough councillors who've represented it for some decades. But congratulations on it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeldon. Any other members wish to speak? No? Okay, I'll move to the recommendations then. Are members happy to note the update on the progress of the developing a new local plan for the borough? See lots of nodded heads, so that's agreed. Item 5 then is the Newcastle under Lyme Business Improvement District and a progress report for that. This report is found on pages 13 to 28 of your agenda. I would like to invite Councillor Sweeney to start off, and I think Roger Tate will take over on the end. Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you, Chairman. A little bit of a script here before I sort of freehand it. Newcastle under Lyme Business Improvement District is in its second term, which runs from 21 to 26. Business improvement districts are business-led and business-funded via a levy schemes to improve a defined commercial area, such as a town centre, through additional services or new initiatives. The benefits of bids are wide-ranging and are listed in the report. The Newcastle bid has 3 objectives: support business growth and investment with a great business offer. 2, create a welcoming and attractive town, ensuring a safe experience. And thirdly, celebrate and promote Newcastle as a town for all, preserving the heritage and cultural aspect of the area. The bid vision, and I think this is excellent, through a business-led programme of investment, is to build on Newcastle under Lyme's traditions by creating a safe, welcoming, forward-thinking town for the whole community. And I can't say anything better than that. In 24-25, the bid delivered a number of initiatives in partnership with the council and other partners, which are detailed in the report. The impact of these was increased footfall in the town centre when events are taking place, creating the opportunity for local businesses to take advantage of higher customer volume. A similar programme is planned for 25-26 alongside the bid, undertaking a renewal process, culminating in a ballot in autumn 2025 to determine if businesses wish to see it continue for a third term, which would run from 26 to 31. The council, as a levy payer, I think it's probably the biggest levy payer, will be able to vote in this ballot. The bid annual report is appended to the report and provides more detail on progress and initiatives. Now, in front of me here, I've got a flyer off the bid for Castle Classics, which on Saturday. Last year, I think we had 65 cars all up and down on the iron market. I unfortunately missed it. I don't know why, because I wanted to, but I must have been doing something. This year, it's double the size. There's 120 cars. It's all up and down the iron market. It's halfway down there, the high street. It's absolutely full. They can't get any more cars in there. I think if you've got one of these old cars, you know, once you've done it, you made it up, you actually want to show it off to people, don't you? And this is the sort of thing they're doing. And the bid have organised this in conjunction with the Redhead Stokey, who's a young lady who's on YouTube. And if ever any of you had a chance to watch any of her stuff, it's really, really good. I saw one on Holton Abbey, which was absolutely fascinating. But anyway, I digress. This is the sort of thing the bid do, and they do it very, very well. And good luck to them. And I'd recommend this to anybody to go to on Saturday, and you'll see the good works the bid do. That's me done now. Roger is sitting at the far end. Roger doesn't sit on the bid board, but he attends it. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Roger, not actually on the board. He attends it, so he can probably take any questions. But any other questions, I'll be happy to do my best to answer. Thank you.
I don't think that Roger's got anything to add to Councillor Sweeney. So do members have any questions for our officer? Councillor Holland?
Commend the work of the bid. Obviously, I think the deputy leader's done a good job of recounting some of the positive benefits that the bid has brought to the town. He did also mention the bid ballot, which is necessary for the bid to continue its work. Do I understand correctly that it's the position of this council's administration that the bid should continue and that they'll be using both their votes and their voice to ensure that happens?
Councillor, yeah, absolutely it is. Yes, thank you. Look, anybody's doing anything on Saturday, you know, come along. You'll see the town heaving with people. I'm not really into cars myself, but I'll come along because it'll still be interesting. Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree with what's just been said on all counts. Anybody else wish to have any comments, questions? No, it appears not. Oh, Councillor Whelan.
Just to say that my experience is anyone who criticise the town centre, whether it's for lack of footfall or anything else, tends to be those who shop online and never venture into the town centre and criticise it. Those who actually go into the town centre and engage in the cafe culture and any events that are there appreciate greatly the efforts that people go to bring other customers in.
Totally agreement with that, and I'm sure members will also agree. If there are no further questions or comments, can I ask members, are they happy to approve the recommendations set out in the report? Yes, nodding with heads. It's clearly unanimous. So we'll move on then to item 6, which is the Town Deal and Future High Streets Fund update. Obviously, point in the declarations of interest from Councillor Holland. So I will pass on to Councillor Sweeney, who will set out this, present this report.
Thank you once again, Chairman. Yeah, I'm just going to run through some of the highlights, really. Everybody's got the report. It's a good report. The reasons are to update the Scrutiny Committee on the progress with the various projects that are being funded or part funded. So that's the point of this. We do it every time we have a meeting, and I think it's a good standing thing to have. So I'm just going to run through some of the stuff. Market improvements. Planning permission has now been received for the large digital screen and the traffic regulation order for the Nipper parking has been agreed, so that's coming on quite well. And being, according to this, it's by the end of March. Is that still on by the end of March, Roger?
Yeah.
Okay. Get the TV screen, and when that's done, that's done and finished. Astley Place, the demolition strip out contract for the removal of the building fabric has been further continued now, and it's really like a skeleton now when you look at it. Part of Kaplan-centric ethos, their philosophy in life, is to reuse as much stuff as they can. And I think on a green angle, I think concrete and steel is incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? You use a lot of carbon to produce it, so they reuse as much as they can. And you see it now; it's like a bare bones of a skeleton building there. One thing I will point out is on this report, there's 2 dates that have been transposed. It's going to Cabinet next week and planning in April. I think it's the wrong way around in these, but that's the order. It's going to planning to Cabinet next week, which is myself, planning next week, and then no, it's not. It's going to Cabinet next week and planning the one after. See what I'm going to do. Anyway, if I go through some more points, we've got here Castle Car Park. That's up and running. I used it, I think, on the second day. I think just have a look at it work, and we said we'd produce a light, airy, bright, safe-feeling car park, and I believe that's what we've done there. So that's going on quite nicely. McCarthy and Stone planning application will be considered at the upcoming planning committee in April. Works are expected to commence in the summer of 25 with completion in later 26. So that's the 55-year-olds plus on the Rycroft. Part of the philosophy for this council is I've used this saying before, but I'll use it again. The old Mars advert with the work, rest and play. Town centre, somebody to work, somewhere to live, and somewhere to go out. And that's the 3 angles with the town centre. And these things are all moving towards that scenario. Kaplan-centric's planning application for the Merrill Street end of the Rycroft development will be considered at the upcoming planning committee, and works will begin hopefully later in 26. The residential element for Aspire will commence in the summer of 25 once that goes through. So that's what Aspire are working on with Kaplan-centric. There's a couple of maps then. The most exciting one for me, and I always eulogise over this, is the Midway car park. What they're going to do is basically rip the guts out of this car park to make a sort of atrium in the middle of it, and then put flats all around it. The picture on there, I firmly believe that if Kaplan-centric pulls this off, and it is as good as it sounds, every council in the country will come to look at Newcastle to see what you do with 1960s and 70s concrete car parks, because we've all got them. And rather than pulling it down, which again is your carbon elements, reuse what we can. I think it's a really, really exciting project. Astley Performance Arts Centre, that's going on nicely. Nutton Cheston, if you go to Nutton now, you can see the land's all been cleared. It's all ready to go. Planning permission has gone through on that. Same with the Cross Street one. There's a lot more work. Cross Street's gone further on than Nutton. The football changing rooms on the Whammy are nearly completed now. Zanzibar Enterprise Units, the planning application is going through. Planning expected by the end of February 25. That's later then, isn't it? Because we've gone past that. But when this report was written, it was a date there, so I'll be a little bit later. But the idea is on one street there's going to be 5 little units for ourselves, because we can't rent out these units quick enough. They're that popular. Walking, cycling, vision, we're waiting until after into summer. I think we're going to do that. Sustainable travel, that's coming along already. It's early days yet, but there's a new entrance to Keele University, which is going to cost a fair bit of money. And there's various other bits and bobs, which Mr. Kennedy can answer later. The Digital Society, that's the old Malik's restaurant. That's up and running now. That's all done, looking good. Again, it's bringing people from the university into the town centre rather than, Keele up on a hill, town centre here. Nah, there the train shall meet. We're trying to get Keele into the town centre, which is what this is. EV charging points there in the Castle car parks are up and running. Digital infrastructure. The plan on this now, this is still fairly early days. I've had it described to me like the M25 around Newcastle, the circuits there, and then you plug into those circuits and little offshoots, feeders, like the M40 would be one, taking it to other areas. So that's still fairly early days, but it's coming along. Kidsgrove Town Deal, Chatterley Valley, our part of that's done now. Really exciting project, 1,800 jobs there hopefully, so that's good. Kidsgrove train station works, I think there's still looking at the mining subsidence underneath that, that's still being worked on. Canal pathways, every summer during the 70s, I would spend 6 weeks on boats in the canals. My parents had a boat. That's all we ever used to do in the summer. Every holiday, my mother was a teacher. And I could tell you how much money there is in boats. So getting a link between the canals and the town centre Kids Grove is really, really, because when you're on a boat, you want some, get some food, go to Tesco, something like that. It's a really good, really important. Shared service hub is still being negotiated, I think, with school amongst other things. And I think that's about it. If you look at the spend profile, you can see the High Street Fund is virtually all done. The bit of money left over there for the TV screen. Other stuff is still working its through. All in all, very, very exciting, and an awful lot of things over the next 12 months we're going to see happening. We refer to this year to Mr. McKenzie, this is the year of delivery. This is the year that we'll see things really coming. We've seen the car park, but that's not the sexiest thing in the world, is it, a car park? But we've seen that, but we've got to have the car park in before we can do everything else. We can't shut the Midway until we've had a new car park. So it's all part of the pattern. And I think this year and next year, it's going to be absolutely superb what's going to happen in Newcastle. It's been really exciting for us. But happy to take any questions, anything too technical, I'll pass to my colleague on my right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. I have a question regarding the new car park. Has misdemeanour where they couldn't get out been investigated and now resolved?
It's being investigated. I don't believe we've got an answer to it yet. The car park power went off for 1 hour and 3 minutes. People weren't stuck in there for 1 hour and 3 minutes because as soon as it happened, one of the officers went to start letting people out, but people would have been stuck there for a while. We're not working on it, but the contractor's still working on what went wrong. Is that right, son? And we're waiting for the results because it really, you spend that sort of money on a building, you want it to work. Yeah. On a similar sort of note, so I go to hospital quite regularly at the moment. And I went, you go to the hospital, you come out, you go to the pay machine, you pay your money in, drive out, you go to the barrier, it lifts up and out you go. Last time I went, you went to the barrier didn't work. There's a guy with a button pressing it every time, let somebody out. So these things do happen, but it's unfortunate when it does. Thank you.
Yeah, so what's going on here is a very good thing, what is happening in the town. I'm just hoping somewhat more the near than the further future that we can do something with the Roebuck Centre, but that is just in the hands of the gods. Councillor Leslie can come in first, and then if any other members have anything, I'll bring them in.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I know you've asked one of my questions already in regards to the car park, but it's good to know that we are onto it, and we are hopefully going to get that issue sorted pretty ASAP. I also just want to welcome and thank you everyone for all your work on this report. I really do enjoy seeing the regular updates of seeing where we're at, and it's great to know that we've now got the EV charging points as well working and in operation. I just want to touch on the Performing Arts Centre, and I know that we're now going to pump some money into the music venue as well, the centre there. So sort of what's the interest that we've had from that? And in regards to the Performing Arts Centre, is it well performing? Have we had much interest, and also in regards to the music venue?
The circus place, yeah, it's all right. But we feel. Have you ever been to Stone? Have you ever been to the wharf at Stone? It's a Jules place next to the canal. Oh. Yeah, and it's absolutely superb. And obviously it's not as good as Newcastle, but it is very, very good. And you sit by the canal, it's a nice venue, the way they've done it. Ideally, I think Jules would like to do something like that in Newcastle, but we haven't got the space for it. So they want to make something of the pub they've got. Was it Bull's Head pub? Their pub, and they want to do this underground entertainment space with a fairly small capacity, but I think it's quite an exciting vision they've got, and they want to work in conjunction with us to do this. And we've had to siphon some of the money off the Performing Arts to put into this to make it happen. Thank you.
Councillor Grocott.
Thank you, Chair. Just a twofold one that's actually, I'm going to split into Newcastle and Kids Grove actually, and it's probably more for Simon and yourself, Councillor, but do apologise on that. I might be wrong on this, but if Simon can just clarify, I'd got to in mind, we've got to have most of the money receipted by March next year and projects finished by then. I also see some dates on here are 2027. So I'm just wondering if you just clarify the kind of dates where it needs to be, or if you can't, you can just follow that up as and when. Question 2 is obviously concerning the Kids Road side. Obviously, I know we still got the same problems possibly where we were before. I know we were thinking of writing to the government about an extension on that. Have you any kind of feedback on that as well, Simon? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The government asked us if we wanted to extend the spend till 27. So we've said yes, please. So it's now till the end of 27. And we're working as quickly as we can to get the issues resolved over the train station and the survey works. The government are aware of the issues we're dealing with.
Councillor Rees.
Thanks, Chair. Just around the apart hotel, is that still firmly on the agenda? Because the reason I ask is that another committee, we saw some plans for this site, and Capital and Centric seem to have got proposals for a residential development, and it looked like they were in the place where the hotel was going to be. This is the Conservation Advisory Committee, and when I kind of asked for clarity, it was a bit kind of vague around whether the plans for the hotel was, whether the hotel was still going ahead. Just wondered whether we could get some clarity on that.
Thank you, Councillor. The apart hotel designs do look very similar to an apartment block, but Capital and Centric are working on an apart hotel for us. They will be you won't be able to determine by looking at them whether it's an apart hotel or the apartments that are around them, but there is definitely an apart hotel being planned for that corner on Merrill Street and Corporation Street, yes.
Any further comments or questions? I'll bring you. Okay. Lady wishes the gentleman to go first. So, Councillor Gordon.
I'm bowing to wisdom.
Oh, if only. I've got a couple of questions, Chairman. And first of all, I think it ought to be said, it is a good report. A lot of activity and progress has been made. Councillor Rees has mentioned the apart hotel. Now, I'll cheerfully admit I have no idea what that means. I think it's the first time I've actually seen it in a report. I wonder if Simon, for my benefit, could actually define what an apart hotel is and how it differs from a conventional hotel. Could I also just sort of mention the Astley Performing Centre? So they've now got a permanent location in the New Astley Place. Is right? Okay. And my final question relates to 53 the Iron Market. Most impressive conversion, Chairman. I haven't been inside, but it looks really great from the outside. Just when I've been past, passers-by have looked in and asked the question, is this open to members of the public, or is this solely reserved for students of Keele and for Newcastle College? So those questions could be answered. Thank you, Chairman.
We'll do them in reverse order. Keele in town is open to members of the public, and they are trying to make it more obvious to passers-by. And they've now put some signs up saying we are open to the public. I think it'll become more relevant that it's open to the public when the cafeteria opens inside and they put tables and chairs outside and the awnings come down. So then it'll be more inviting. But it's a soft opening launch that they're going through at the moment. So Astley Place the Performing Centre will stay where it is on Merrill Street. The funding will transfer to Astley Place, but the Astley Performing Centre will stay at its current location on Merrill Street. And the final question, what is an apart hotel? An apart hotel is a hotel made up of apartments. So you will get a code to enter the building and you will stay in an apartment. I don't know why I said it like that, an apartment. Rather than a hotel, but it's like a service department that is then open to booking by the general public, and you can stay during the week or at weekends or a week, etc. But you don't have hotel facilities like a porterage or a cafeteria or anything like that downstairs. So there'll be a doorway with a keypad, and then you can enter it like an apartment building, but it is a service department basically.
There will be staff there, though. It's not.
There will be staff that visit, but there won't be staff permanently there, I don't think. There may well be a duty manager, but I don't think that, but there'll be cleaners coming in to clean the apartments when they've left. And if there's maintenance work, they'll be brought in, but there won't be a receptionist, for example, I don't think.
So it's more self-catering than fully inclusive? Possibility of a minibar? Okay. Any other members wish to come in? Councillor Wielden.
Just a comment, Capita-centric are to be applauded, and anybody who was involved in bringing them in, because to preserve all the facade of the beautiful buildings that we've got in town centre, I mean, should be applauded, and everyone involved in that congratulated. If I compare that with what I'm a Stokey girl, and if I compare that with what's happened in Stoke over the decades that I've been alive and from Stoke, they tend to pull things down and just demolish and build sort of brick and clapboard, whereas we are intent in preserving our heritage. And I just think the way Capita-centric are doing this is just amazing. And I thank anybody who involved who actually gave the contract to them.
Yeah, Councillor Wielden, we were at the LJ conference in Bournemouth I'm trying to work out in my head now, we're in 25, and so in 23, summer of 23, when we first saw Capita-centric, and this young man on my right said, "Oh, Capita-centric, they're interesting people, we'll have a chat with them." And in that time, this is where we are now. So this is the pace, and I think Capita-centric love the fact that we move at a pace. We want to make it like this report here. In all honesty, it's quite an exciting report, isn't it? So much on it, so many things happening, and this is what Capita-centric really like about it, is the fact that we want to get on and get this money spent, get out the door, and get it working for people in Newcastle. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Councillor Sweeney. Capita-centric and yourself, Councillor Whelan, they have done well. Simon, am I right in saying that they've done the building that's by Stoke Station? They've seen all them flats and apartment. Yeah, I mean, it looks, it really did progress very quickly in the short amount of time that they started, and it does look good, as I do drive past it quite regularly. Councillor Wilson, would you like to follow up?
Just a final comment. People don't always realise, the general public, if they're not involved in building at all in any form, shape or form, they don't realise that when you're pulling a substantial building down and demolishing it and carting all the stuff away before you can actually start building, it actually costs as much to do that as putting a brand new building up. So it doubles the cost constantly. So to take what's there and refurb it and revitalise it is probably the least expensive way of developing a town centre fit for purpose for this century.
Any further questions or comments? No. Okay, then, members, we will move to the recommendations. Is the Scrutiny Committee happy that they note the report on the delivery of the town funds? Yes, that's unanimous again. Item 7 then is the work programme, which is a regular event at this committee. The work programme can be found on pages 41 to 46 of your agenda. So with the work programme, we have upcoming then on the 19th of June, this year will be a further local plan update and town deal and future high street fund. It'll be the same again on the 11th of September. And right at the end of the year, we will also have local plan update, town deal and future high street fund, planning, enforcement and performance, and the car park strategy. As you can see in your report, I won't mention the what's pending. I'll refrain from reading and commenting on this. Any members have any questions or queries on the work programme? Councillor Gordon, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, it's the pending column, the HS2 update. It's been since some months since the committee witnessed really the effects of the blight. We had a lot of public interest. I just wonder, where we are in terms of taking that particular issue forward. I'm sure members don't want to drop it, but it would be good to get some clarity really in terms of pending. Well, what does that mean when applied to that particular subject?
Mr. McKenny, would you like to answer the member's question, please?
I agree with you, but we don't actually have an answer to that question. We're still trying to find out from HS2 whether they're going to come and talk to us.
That's why I said I didn't really wish to do it. But no, you've got me in the mood, Councillor Gorton. So I'll have a question. The Aspire housing, have they come back after their postponement? Are they planning another meeting? Shock. Any members have any further questions, comments on the work programme? I'm sure Councillor Grocott City, no, okay. Right then, moving on is item 8, which is the public question time. I have not received any questions from members of the public. And item 9 is urgent business, and I've not received any urgent business to that either. So that concludes this evening's meeting. Thank you to all for your attendance. I wish you a safe journey home and a pleasant rest of your evening. Have a good night.